All right, everyone. Hello, hello, and happy July at that. And I always say that I'm super excited, but I really am super excited because I get to now speak with someone today who I very much value their work ethic and just what they've done already, just in the kingdom, number one, and then also just in the marketplace, number two. And so, those of you that don't know, Naomi Nevin, she's not only a friend, but a colleague of mine and also a church family member. Naomi, still real quick, hello. To
Hello. Hi.
the- and we're going to talk today. And this just happened. So it's like hot off the press. And there's so many. Oh, it's just so many things to unpack in Naomi's life and just who she is and why home ownership and why she's on, the show right now. And truly, I believe this testimony is going to equip somebody today, to know that even if the odds are stacked completely against you, like 10 out of 10 stacked against you, what God has for you and what He's already put in motion, it will come to pass, as long as you're actively going towards the very thing that He's promised you. So, Naomi, welcome.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for
you
having
know,
me.
uh, this is great. I give a little background on, we will get into the homeownership part, but just a little background on what even got you here to the States. We go to the same church, Vive Church, in Palo Alto, and all around. Vivechurch.org. Pastors Adam Smallcombe and Kira Smallcombe. Everyone knows that they are, that have pastors, and they've, came here from Australia, and your story is very much the same. So set us up on how you got here from Australia.
Yeah. So it was in 2013 I actually came here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the same church as Pastor Adam and Kira and Pastor Carly, who's the worship pastor back in
Mm-hmm.
Australia. They were the youth pastors and the worship pastor at my church. And when they said they were coming over here to start a church, I was like, I'm in. Like, I want to come. Like, I'm in. Like,
Yep.
totally. And long story short, 2013, I was able to get here. I think about 12 months after them, 9 or 12 months
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
after them. So I have been here ever since, and
Mm-hmm.
still at Vive and still at EQ1, and yeah, loving it.
And so, what makes it significant, you guys, for my listeners, you've heard me talk about probably Equity One Real Estate, and that's where my brokerage is out of. I was one of the six, including Naomi, in order to start that brokerage out here with Mike Bowie being the CEO and Dennis Steinbach, our broker. But that, in essence, it kicked off a whole slew of us kind of walking a whole lot of things out together, not only in ministry, but also walking things out in just the workplace and just the progression of, gosh, it's almost everything at the parallel at the same time.
Yeah.
And the beauty about it is, yes, I'm, agent doing my thing, but also Naomi being inside the office, being around it, seeing it, smelling it, marketing wise. She was actually one of the people that really helped me put together Faith and Home Buying for one of the first uh, um, workshops that we've done. So she has a special place in my heart for Faith and Home Buying at that. So fast forward, we get to the story of home ownership. And I'm telling you, odds being stacked. Naomi, talk about the odds that were stacked. I mean, from everything from being an immigrant to not even having down payment. What was stacked against you?
So, oh, gosh, a few years ago now, I didn't have credit. You come to this country, I
Yeah.
didn't have credit.
No
So
credit.
I mean, I had great credit in Australia, but here you got to build credit. So I started with like a TJ Maxx credit card and just like a basic credit card, a secured credit
Yep.
card with a credit union. Had to start building my credit. And like I've always kind of been good at money management, but like starting from scratch.
Yep.
So I had no credit for
No
starters.
credit.
Had to work on that, and then
Yeah.
um, I'm I'm a non I'm on a non-immigrant visa, so I'm not even a I'm not a permanent resident. So there's
Right.
that. I have to renew my work visa every 2 years. Um, I didn't have any money. I didn't have like I had a little bit, but I just remember talking to a mortgage lady, and she's like, "Oh, you need about X amount of dollars." She's like,
Yep, sure did.
I was like,
A-
"Oh." that
Oh, I
money.
remember that. And she
Yeah.
was actually, and actually, I don't mean to interject, but I remember this too. The guys, take heed to this, because someone was looking at your finances and said, you know what, you need to back off with your tithe.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So that was a
Mm-hmm.
financial planner. So
Yeah.
I was
Yep.
talking to her, and she was looking at my money, and I said, "Oh, my goal is to buy a house." And she looked at it and said, "Oh, you you it'll take you probably like 10 years to save up for a down payment. So you probably should look at getting a second job. But, also, like, what's this money here going to like
Yep.
Thrive Church?
Yep.
You know, if you really want to save up quicker, you should cancel that." And I was like,
Yep. Hmm.
okay.
Yep. I remember that.
Basically, it was she was saying it was like impossible for me to buy a house.
That's right. So no
Uh,
money, credit, no
yeah,
money.
and then just like the housing market here in the Bay Area, which just
Hmm.
like is it, I don't know how to describe it. Just like it being in the office and working, you know, in the office with all the realtors and just hearing the stories about
Hmm.
100,000 over 150,000. I'm like, who has this money? Like cash offers. I'm like, who has this money? Who has this cash in the bank? Like, so like that was just another thing trying to like compete in
Hmm.
the market.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then, yeah. So, and then I'm on my own as well. I'm like a single
Yep.
income,
Single. Hmm.
um, single income. I'm like below the Bay Area median wage, like low income. So
Hmm.
just all these like X marks.
Across the board.
Yeah,
And then wanting to have, and but then also two personal things too, like, God, you know, is this really going to happen for me?
yeah, yeah. I mean, like because we were talking earlier, I
Hmm.
kind of like had like plans that I thought were going to happen, and then they kind of fell through, like relationships and stuff. So it was kind of like
Hmm.
everything that I kind
Hmm.
of planned for doesn't seem to happen. So I was like, I just don't know, like if I want to step out and have expectation on this one, if it's actually going to happen. Like I don't want to have egg on my face and you know like tell all
Yep.
these people that I want to buy a house and then it doesn't happen. Everyone's like, see, like you told you.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Told you. Hmm. Hmm. And but see, that takes a lot of guts. And and for anyone that especially going through a situation that's just devastating, like relationship wise, right? Like all the way to, and I was there, but having that letdown, it's debilitating a little bit. It's like, well, wow, that was a huge letdown. And I think that comes across the board for a lot of people when they're looking for something and thinking that it's going to happen, whether it be losing out on a home or, you know, on the way to doing it. Well, God tells you to give, X amount of dollars to vision, or, a lot of setbacks that
yeah,
happen. But again, it's actively saying that no, even though there's setbacks, I'm not gonna retreat. I'm still gonna go forward, because I've already given you, and we talked about it earlier too, like just my yes and my amen. I've already said yes. So give me the question so I can continue on, because I know there's lives that I need to impact. And you said going into this that was that very thing. You wanted to be impactful. You wanted to make a statement, and we're going to get into the details in the next segment. But talk about that. You wanted to make sure you made an impact.
yeah. I mean, I just like through the whole process, I never wanted it to just be about me getting a house.
Yeah.
I wanted it to
Yep.
like help other people because I work in real estate and I hear all the stories for your clients like retro
Yep.
magic and like impossible stuff happening, and I'm just like I kind of just want to prove to people that it can be done, like the impossible can be done, like God can
Yeah.
do the impossible.
Yep.
So like I just whatever I did, I wanted to make sure it gave faith like
That's right.
to other people.
Yep, yep, exactly. And it did just that, but that's the very thing too. I mean, if you guys didn't hear about our Amen conference, yeah, anyways, like really honest, mind blowing, like vivechurch.org, go to their Amen conference, just should probably even be up on YouTube.
The
We,
album
we
as well.
released the album, we dropped
Yeah,
the album. Naomi was on it. It was fire. You just yeah, yes and amen. Pick that up too, Spotify and also Apple Music. Anyways, we but in that remember, there was a moment that was said in the conference on, it wasn't about like the end result per se. It was about the journey of the person in
yeah,
that. And I find that happening throughout pretty much all the stories, and you've seen them, where
Yeah.
those that have actively serving in the church, actively waiting on, not even actively waiting on God, just to continue to perform His will, going and advancing the church, being givers and lovers of people and the things that we do. And those are the stories that tend to give God glory the most. And the faith level that
Yeah.
has, even small mustard seed acorn, it doesn't really matter, but it always glorifies Jesus. And I think that yours is that very, very just the T of how it glorifies God. And before we move on to our next segment, talk about that. Like, how does that feel? You were actively a part of a walking, living miracle.
Yeah, I like when we were talking earlier, I've been through a lot, and for me it was
Hmm.
so not about the house, like it's so
Yeah.
much about getting the condo. It
Yeah.
was more about like, I was like, God, just like come through. Like I really just
Yeah.
need you to come through on this, like that you're on my side, that I'm stepping out in expectation this year. Like that was my word for this year. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
expectation, like please meet me. So because I want you to get glory from it. Like either
Yeah.
way it's going to,
Yep.
but like
Yep.
just like please meet me in this expectation, help, like overcome disappointment,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So
Yep.
it just so happens to be in like the outplayed in the condo real estate.
Yep. It can happen anywhere.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
telling you,
yeah,
it can happen anywhere. It's like the lessons. So on the next segment, we're going to talk about kind of like those steps to get there, because I know a lot of people probably taking notes, and please take notes. Listen to this. Go to the KFAX site again, Spotify, and take these notes, because we're going to talk about those steps that she took in order to get free money pretty much throughout this transaction, and it's going to bless somebody. So do please stay tuned, because we're going to talk about some really, really juicy, great stuff that's going to help some. All right, so if you just joined us, like honestly, you need to go back to the first part, because it gets better. It's a lead up to what we're getting into now. But so Naomi, like, okay, odds stacked against you. I told people get their pen and paper out. Like, what are the steps that you took? The logical kind of the practical steps on getting to your home ownership day.
yeah. So I mean, going back years would be like getting credit, like sorting my
Yep.
credit out, saving
Yep.
myself,
Yep.
that kind of,
Mm-hmm.
saving,
Mm-hmm.
all that. So then I think the first step that I mean, short of like deciding what I wanted, condo, beds, baths,
Mm-hmm.
like where I want to live, all that sort of stuff, work that out with your realtor or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
But I looked into community programs.
Yep.
So one of the realtors here mentioned that there's a through community housing, it's a program called Neighborhood Lift. And
Mm-hmm. Yep.
so I think it's Wells Fargo gave like
Mm-hmm.
a certain amount of X
Mm-hmm.
amount of dollars, and they were giving away forgivable grants or forgivable loans essentially of $25,000. So
Yep. Yep.
going through that whole process, it's like jumping through all the hoops. Like it was annoying, but just like submitting paperwork and
Paperwork.
following it through.
Mm-hmm.
And then honestly, like being organized and just having the paperwork on hand, like in a file on my computer,
Yep.
made it so
Yep.
much
Yep.
easier. You had to do an 8-hour first time home buyer
Yep.
certificate class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So honestly, just doing all those steps and following them all through, um, because it was just like annoying and it was hard and it was just like submitting paperwork. I could have
Yep.
given up, but I'm just like, let me just see it through, and if it happens, then
Yep.
free money. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. So, and then there's like I looked into a bunch of other programs that the city offers for first-time home buyers, which I didn't qualify for because I wasn't a citizen, or a permanent resident. So that's fine. But then when I was looking at lenders as well, different lenders have different first-time home buyer
Yep.
programs.
Yep.
So I got the 25,000 through Neighborhood Lift, and then
Mm-hmm.
I looked into Bank of America, and they had another program which was stackable with the
Yep. Yep.
community housing. So first time home buyer, 10,000 for down payment. So there's $35,000 that I have for a down payment, and then they cover up to 7,500 of closing costs. So that was like $42,500 of free money that like, I don't know why. I don't know why they gave it to me, but they did.
Yeah, oh my
And I'm
God.
taking it. I'm like not complaining. So they gave it to me, and yeah, that was like my down payment right there. So I guess for me, the first step, if you're like a low income, low down payment, whatever, would be looking at different programs that are available. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first step, and then I had figured out kind of what I was looking for and what I wanted, what my budget was, and then just went and looked at stuff and what I liked and what I didn't like. And I'm not kind of like unrealistic to the point where I'm like, oh no, my first home has to have this and a balcony and ocean views, and like I
Right.
just set realistic, expectations and what I wanted. I wanted to be able to afford to live on my own, so I wasn't looking at something at the top end of my budget. I was looking at, something that I could comfortably,
Mm-hmm.
well, still, it's a lot of money, but like pay on my own to like,
Exactly.
yeah. So I mean, they're the kind of like the practical steps that I took.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people, you make a great point, because even clients that I've had with BMR, below market rate homes, it takes time, because there's a lot of paperwork that you have to do, but the patience and being able to do that in the end, not a lot of people do it. Why? Because it is a lot of paperwork.
annoying. It's
Um,
so annoying. Yeah, but
it is, but you have to have patience, and you never know, and that's what most people don't do. Okay, you'll be inconvenienced a little bit. You got to take a little bit of a class and kind of do some stuff. But, even my clients that got the lift program and the BMR over in, it was Walnut Creek. It was just, or no, Concord, I'm sorry. It was just a beautiful thing, because not everyone could do it, and most people don't even know that those programs are out there, and most agents really don't know either. And so that's, you bring up a great point, to not only look just like in your like your neighborhood, like county programs, down payment assistance programs, that's one, but county programs for down payment assistance, that's another avenue that you may try to decide, because every single county probably has it. Yes, there's criteria, and that's the beautiful thing too. You guys understand, there is a criteria that you have to fit in, and if you don't fit in those criterias, obviously you don't get the money. And then like, this is even off by like $1,000. They
yeah,
distinctly say no. You got more than one person in there, and then you make X amount. So
yeah,
she fit right where it needed to, in order for her to get in, which is just another act of crazy faith to
yeah.
even qualify for these darn programs, because they do make it kind of hard, in the meeting area.
I think it's also all the checks that were against me were actually
Mm-hmm.
that qualify.
Yeah, you're right. Yes,
I was
that's
like,
right. It's the truth. So,
yeah,
but you know what? But that's a setup, right? I think someone listening to this today understand that every single thing that you disqualify yourself might very well be the thing that qualifies you to actually get some free money, if you get out of the mindset and the mentality of the world saying, "Oh, it's just never going to be possible. You're going to have to stop doing this. You're going to have." Yeah, you make life changes, of course.
yeah,
Like, there's things that you have to budget correctly and be good stewards over, which, hopefully my audience remembers, like, to good steward over your finances and everything that you did to set yourself up. But those are the things that you do when you're actively waiting, not sitting on your hands. And so you are a prime example of that,
yeah,
of not sitting on your hands, but actively doing something in the wait. Because that's, I think, where God works just the best. What advice would you give someone coming in? I mean, you kind of said it already, but what advice would you give, um, you know, someone coming in, specifically like a single person, thinking that, home ownership is probably not going to happen until they get married? What advice can you give them based off of your experience?
yeah. I think probably for quite a while I kind of bought into that, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I need a second income, like, because I hear about all these tech couples like buying houses for like a million, like whatever, like a lot of money, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, like, it's just me, like, I'm never going to be able to afford to buy that. But I think you had actually posted an Instagram story of one of your clients at the beginning of the year. She had bought
Yep.
in like Haywood or something like that for like under 400, and I'm like, yo,
Yes.
I could like, I'm still gonna look into that. And that kind of is what
Yes.
got me started in looking into it. I'm like, that girl can do it, like I can do it, I'm sure. So um I think I kind of switched my mentality to like, instead of waiting for life to happen to me, like waiting for a husband to come along with his
Yep.
big income, like just like making it happen on my own. Like, and is it possible for me to do it? Yeah, it is. Like,
Hmm.
you know, properties in my price range. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you know, I can do it. I can do it. So I think even if I would say to people, like, even if you're single, you can totally buy a house. Like, it's so doable in Bay Area. Like, it's not gonna, you might not have like extra play money to like throw around and spend on Amazon, whatever,
Or
but hey,
cats.
I have a house, you know? So it's like, it's totally doable. And I just don't want people to buy into the lie that as a single person, you can't buy a house in Bay Area, because you can. I'm proof.
Absolutely.
Right?
You're 100% living proof. And but see, and you and I love that you said that. Like it's the testimonies. And look, I'm learning about this, the marketplace being able to bring the testimonies and bring the very thing. Yes, you can operate in the world and how they do things. Absolutely. I mean, we live in the world, right? But we're not of it.
Yeah.
And operating in a sense in business and in what we do in everyday life, and saying, God, I want to see you in everything. Why? Not because of me, it's because I want to be able to show people what you can do. And I think even the stories like yours, and thank you so much for coming in and sharing it. And even the story that I shared, from one of my other clients
Yeah.
got you sparked in order to do something. But that's what it's about. And if you hide it, kind of keep it to yourself, which I don't want to do. I don't want people to think that, okay, yeah, it's just your agent going in and doing the things. No, no, no. It's so much more to it than that, especially if you want to walk by faith.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for stories like yours and for you sharing them, because it does give people hope, and it gives them a little bit of a blueprint to see that, oh, wow, well, she didn't do it traditional. Mm-mm. And I could
Yeah.
say this, and you've already said it, get ready, because if you're going to walk by faith, I'm telling you, it's an interesting walk in doing this. You can do it your regular traditional way, or you can do it the way of faith and the way of saying, God, I want you to get the glory in this. So
Yeah.
get ready to strap on your seatbelt, have some things kind of feel like a disappointment, but it's not really, because God's setting up the scene for you to have the glory. Any last minute things before we wrap up, Naomi, that you want to say?
I just
Worship, lead, worship, keys extraordinaire.
get the album. No, it's honestly for like, I just, it's just wild, because if you're like open to it, you have expectation, and you just like expecting God to move. Like what?
Yeah.
It was just wild. Like I have no, like I got it tattooed on my arm. Like it's wild. The whole story, like the whole past 6 months has just been wild, from like free money to like my interest rate and getting the offer on this house, and it was like below market. It was just like, and it's two
It's
bedrooms,
sitting there.
bigger like than I like thought that I could afford. It's just like, it's like be above and beyond my expectations.
It's about to get wild as we've prayed and worshiped. And so if you guys are ready to get wild, if you're on the fence, give me a call, Tamika Ellsworth.com, 408-561-7922. You can contact me there. I mean, shoot, you can even call the EQ1 office and ask for Naomi Evan and ask about her story. But of course, if you want to speak with her or anything, just let me know. I'll absolutely hook you up and connect you. But thank you guys very much, Naomi. Thank you again. And hey, I gotta say, pick up the album, Vibe Worship. They just released an album. Naomi's on it. It's just amazing. Yes and amen. Other than that, thank you so much, Naomi. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. God keep you. Faith in home buying, equipping people of faith for the home buying process.